Chapter 1: The Grand Opening. The Mall of Illusion did not appear overnight. It did not fall from the sky, nor did it rise from the ground. It grew not from stone or steel, but from belief. The moment the first inhabitants stepped inside, the mall became real. The moment they followed its paths, the mall became truth. The moment they listened, the mall became their world. And at the center of it all stood the teacher. He had once been the architect, the one who shaped the very walls that now surrounded them. But structure alone was not enough. A world must have purpose, a path to follow, a lesson to be learned. And so the architect became the teacher, stepping forward to guide the inhabitants through the world he had built. And on this day, the grand opening, his voice would set their journey into motion. The teacher's vision. The great pavilion was the heart of the mall. It was here that all paths converged. Here, beneath the towering glass ceiling that reflected the golden glow of the mall's lights, the inhabitants gathered. They did not know why they were here. They only knew that this was the way. And at the highest point of the pavilion, the teacher stepped forward. His voice was steady, his words practiced, his presence absolute. From nothing, we have built something great. The inhabitants listened, for they had heard whispers of before, of a time without the mall, a time when paths were not marked, a time when they wandered without knowing where they were going. Where once there was uncertainty, now there is progress. Where once there was wandering, now there is a path. The inhabitants murmured in agreement. They had no memory of struggling before. But if the teacher said it was so, then surely this was better. Surely this was the way. The system of progress. The mall was not stagnant. It was a place of movement. To rise, one must earn their place. Some worked to serve the structure, ensuring the mall remained full, thriving, and efficient. Others sought to climb, proving themselves worthy of higher levels where greater wisdom and rewards awaited. And still, others chased the unseen, believing that if they continued forward, if they kept moving, they would one day reach the highest floor. The path upward was the measure of worth, and worth was the measure of existence itself. The teacher did not impose these rules. He did not demand that they climb. He only taught, and they believed, and belief was stronger than any command. The fear of what lay beyond. But beyond the pavilion, beyond the polished corridors and the glowing storefronts, there were whispers. Some inhabitants, though they dared not say it aloud, wondered if there was something more. They had heard of those who had left, those who had walked beyond the final doors, those who had stepped into the unknown. But they had never returned. And that, the teacher reminded them, was proof enough. There are those who seek to disrupt the order, he warned. Those who claim there is something beyond this place. But tell me, what exists beyond structure? Silence. The inhabitants knew the answer. Chaos. The system is what protects you, the teacher continued. The walls are what give your life meaning. Do not be swayed by those who seek to return you to nothingness. A shudder ran through the crowd, for they did not know what lay beyond the mall, and those who had left had never returned. Whether they had vanished or been swallowed by the unknown, no one could say, but the fear was enough, and so they remained. The teacher's doubt. But as the inhabitants dispersed, returning to their endless cycle of progress, the teacher remained standing. He should have felt satisfaction. He should have felt pride, for his vision had succeeded. The mall was alive, the system was flourishing, and the people believed in the path. And yet, something unsettled him. A quiet thought, a flicker of unease. A whisper that did not come from the inhabitants, but from within himself, because he knew the truth. He had built this world. He had laid its foundations. He had veiled the life-giver so that the inhabitants would never look beyond the walls, and yet something was wrong. He had given them structure. He had given them purpose. But he had also given them fear. And now, for the first time, he wondered, had he done the right thing? Foreshadowing the shift. As the teacher turned away, his gaze lingered on the farthest edges of the mall, the places where no one ventured, the places where the walls seemed thinner. For a brief moment, he swore he could feel something beyond them. Not chaos, not nothingness, something else, something waiting. But before the thought could take root, he pushed it away, for he was the teacher, and the teacher knew the way, didn't he?